Hello, everybody. It is me, Gideon. Hi there. I hope that this time things are going to work out. I think this is my fourth attempt to go live. Sometimes things don't work out quite the way I want them to. Sorry for this peculiar angle, but I need you to see what's going on the canvas, not so much what is going on on my face. So this is that I am a Dreamcatcher session. So just to let you guys know, sorry, I can't see your comments because I turned the camera to be the best possible angle and the best lenses. But I will check in afterwards and answer all of your questions. But do drop me a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. And yeah, if you have any questions, do drop them in there or any lovely comments. It's also always welcome. Right, this is a very peculiar angle. So I want you to focus here. This is where we're going to play the game. So first and foremost, I always like to just set my intention and just get a lovely candle burning here on the side just to get things going with our intention. And yes, I'm always asking the question, what would you like this year to look like? What would you like it to feel like? What would you like to experience more of? Because so many times I see people set New Year's intentions and or New Year's resolutions rather, and the time we get to March, a lot of those intentions have disappeared out of the window. And yeah, I think one way to use your canvas as a portal for manifesting your dreams, your goals, your desires, and intentions is to paint the dream catcher. And, dream catcher is all about, warding off bad dreams and also, attracting those positive dreams. Now, with all respect to the traditional, people where dream captures come from, I am not indigenous, but I do use it with absolute respect from my heart. And I say thank you to the indigenous people that created the first dream catchers and brought it into our world, because I think it's an amazing tool. And yeah, so I'm using it as a symbol to, focus my intentions and my dreams for the year. And I've been doing this for a number of years since I did my Creatively Fit coaching training. I just want to see what that looks like and just turn it a little bit like this for you guys. Yeah, so I painted this during the year that I did my Creatively Fit training with Whitney Freya. And this is actually watercolor and gouache. And on watercolor paper, I really enjoyed this process. As you can see, it's really colorful and really pretty. And this is now a number of years old, and I've been painting dream catchers for, since then. So what I've got here, let me just quickly just add to all of the things before we get started. I'm sorry I'm so disorientated, but like I said, I try to have a different setup like I normally would for recording and in my studio, but the live orientation just does not want to cooperate. It's, yeah. So anyway, I've had to be adjustable and flexible, and I moved my canvas here. So that's why I'm standing at this awkward angle, but we'll get into it now. So my lesson plan is behind me. So I'm just checking in. So I'm asking you guys, if it's your first time here, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and share if you find this at all useful. And feel free to comment below. At the end of this live, I will add links to this video that you can peruse, and this will be available on my channel for at least till the end of January. Thereafter, it goes private and it's only available for my Patreons. So if you're wondering, what do I do with my Patreons and how do I share with them? Well, I do create videos and I share content and how-tos that is exclusive to my Patreon channel. And then I sort of do a light version of the lesson on YouTube, just to give you guys also something to look at that's free, that you don't have to pay for, and that can help you with your creative practice. As a creatively fit coach, my biggest intention is to activate your creative heart and to showcase to you that anyone can really do this. Just try. So this is a very therapeutic process, and I want you to look at the canvas as a metaphor for your life. And I'm going to be pretty much painting the Dreamcatcher sort of shape that I did last year. And this is what I did last year in 2024. This was my Dreamcatcher for 2023, sorry. And as you can see, it has the ring, and I've basically just painted half of the ring because you sort of suggest that it will continue on the outside. And then I've used 5 feathers. Now, going into this exercise, you can decide how many feathers you want. And the reason for that is I look at all of these feathers as the areas in my life where I want to set intention. So like the first feather would be for my body health. The second one would be for my mental health. The third one would be for my soul or spiritual health. Then I'm also looking at my career and my finances. And this symbol, as we dive deeper into this wheel that the feathers are hanging from, this porthole of positivity, is really representing you and your consciousness, and the threads that are connecting each other reminds us that everything is interconnected. Nothing stands alone. And in this field of consciousness, and you are at the center of it, it radiates out and flows into your different arenas. So this is how I'm interpreting this Dreamcatcher. It's not the official description. It is my personal description and interpretation of the symbol that I'm using to manifest my goals and my intentions. So the crystals and the sort of jewelry or pendants that's added to it can also represent those batteries, like crystals that help us in our life to attract positive and to protect our intentions and to protect our goals and to help us to manifest it and experience it into our lives. And then we're also looking at the color scheme, because the color scheme represents you emotionally and psychologically as well. Now, it can be an intuitive process where you just really enjoy it from that point of view and just create and look at it afterwards to discover what psychology is revealed through the color, or you can be a little bit more intentional, like I am going to be today. So my tools for today is I'm going to be playing with acrylic markers. I'm going to need some brushes. I've got a bucket or two of water handy here on my easel. I've got some kitchen towel ready to roll. I've got some ordinary whiteboard or blackboard chalk. I've got an old meat tray that I use as a palette. And I've basically got my intentions that I'm setting up for today. So, the question I would like to ask you as I begin to sort of write my stuff down on my canvas is, what does your dream life for 2024 look like? So you can use your board, you can use pencil, you can use any medium that's at hand. So I've got all of these things sort of laid out for myself, and I'm saying 2024, I really love these acrylic markers, is the year I break free from personal limitations and restrictions. I want to have more of financial freedom, time to create, and just overall joy and happiness. Oh, happy. Forgive my spelling errors. That is typical of me with my dyslexia. But I know what I intend to say. So, my question to you is, if money was no obstacle, if you didn't have to work for a salary, what would your life look like? What would you be doing? Because we have to live with purpose, right? I mean, if we don't live with purpose and we don't have a meaningful life, it's very easy to fall into an existential crisis and go into dark places of depression, because what is the point of it all, right? And only we as humans can find true meaning in our lives and say, okay, this is meaningful to me. This gives me purpose. And I think people often ask me, let me turn my camera just towards me quickly while I'm talking to you guys. A lot of people ask me, but what is my life purpose and how do I discover that? Well, I personally believe that your life purpose is not very far separated from what you're already doing. And you will find those things in your life that is meaningful to you, that brings you joy, that you find pleasurable, and that happens to be something that can uplift others or fulfill a need in other people's lives. Because I think to be, living with purpose and to find meaning, we need to sort of take the focus off of ourselves, paradoxically, and focus more on what can I bring to society, to my family, to my community that will benefit them. Because the minute you start serving others, then your cup starts to sort of fill up automatically. And yeah, you can't serve from that empty cup. So if you put yourself first in a sort of selfish way the whole time, worrying about your purpose and your life and what you need the whole time, and it's you, then it can become very meaningless and self-centered. There is, however, a big difference between having healthy boundaries and making sure that you do take care of yourself. Those are very important aspects of living a life filled with meaning and purpose. Otherwise, you could burn out, right? Right. So let me just turn my camera back to my intentions here so that we don't lose track of that. Okay. So now that you've written down some of your goals on your canvas, it is time to just begin with what I like to call sort of a freedom layer. Now, I really like to also then sometimes turn the board around. And the reason why I turn the canvas or the board around is because the left brain wants to always constantly make sense of everything that you've written. So you can take a photograph of your canvas or your page in your journal, whatever surface you are going to be working on. I like to just turn the page around because that sort of takes the left brain that wants to analyze and read everything and make sense of everything, and it gives it a resting phase, because I want you to focus on just playing on the canvas and having fun. So my intention for today is to only work with 3 colors, and I pre-selected 3 colors for myself. I'm going to be playing with this blue, green, or turquoise color, and then sort of a triad of colors would be yellow and a red, violet, and these 3 will work very well together. So I'm going to give this background of mine a nice wash of different yellows. So what I've got here is my Montmartre acrylic signature paints, and I do in love um, working with this brand and this paint color. Let me just get a palette knife so that I can dispense a little bit of paint. So I am very curious to see what you guys are going to be doing with your canvas, how you're going to be painting your dream catchers. And afterwards, I want to encourage you to take a photograph and share it with me on the Creative Heart group. You can use the hashtag Dreamcatcher 2024, and that's going to be a lot of fun for all of us to share in your joy as you create your dream catcher. Now remember, I keep saying this, I'm not expecting you know, what shall we call it, fine art. I'm expecting, you know, just a playful expression of paint and color, and yeah, just to have fun with that. So I'm just dispensing some paint for myself so that we can play a little bit with this background. And I want a little bit of black as well. So I hope you guys are painting along with me. So whenever you are watching this video, you can obviously fast forward or change the speed of this video. So if you're gonna speed it up, then just remember to mute my voice. Otherwise, I might sound like a chipmunk or like I inhaled helium. I hope everything is recording. I'm using my mic, so I'm hopeful that you guys can hear very well. It's very difficult to do a system check with a live. It's the first time I'm using my audio mic with a live, so hopefully it all turns out really well. So if you join me now, hello, tell me where you're watching from. And if you're going to join me later, then that is also awesome. You can drop me a comment below. So let me pick a brush here. I'm just going to use this ordinary round brush. I'm going to activate it by dipping my brush in a bit of water. And what I've done is I have just dispensed myself a variety of yellows. And I've also got white and black on here. So I want you just to begin to playfully just dab some color everywhere. So we're going to create, well, I personally, I'm going to use a little bit of a variety here of yellows on my background, because I think my Dreamcatcher is going to look nice if I play with the turquoise and the violet on my Dreamcatcher. So I'm just working through some of these yellows. I'm not trying to paint anything in particular. You can put some music on for yourself. I want to put music on, but unfortunately, because it's a live, I am will have copyright issues. So unfortunately, I can't put music on. So I have to listen to my air conditioner and my own voice. This is the joy of a live session. So here in the beginning of this process, as I get into, you know, activating my canvas, the board or the canvas can be quite chalky. It can be difficult for the paint to sort of, you know, flow on the surface. So I like to just get into activating my entire canvas with a playful application of paint. Let's get into some brighter yellows. So this is not necessarily going to be very blended. So for now, I'm just putting color everywhere, but I'm sticking to a yellow sort of palette. And what you can do also, if you don't want it to dry on you very quickly, especially I'm standing under the air conditioner, I just use an ordinary water mister just to mist down and add a little bit of water. That will extend my mixing time here on the canvas. And I'm just jumping around. I'm not even rinsing my brush because I'm playing with the same family of color, and that is the yellow family. Let's add a bit more white here so that we can have a little bit of variety. So this is just a mixture of pale yellow, I've got lemon yellow, I've got cadmium yellow medium, I've got yellow ochre, and I've got titanium white. Titanium white gives me that opacity. It helps me sort of just to cover up some of these writings on the background, remembering that yellow is very translucent, and I actually wrote with a red pen, so some of it might glimmer through, but you know, that's okay because that is our intention that we are painting. It's not going to be a painting that I'm going to sell or anything like that, so that's cool. Right, so I'm going to mist this a little bit again with some water, just keeping it moist. I want to add a little bit more of my pale yellow. Just dispensing it out here. The pale yellow is a student grade, so it's very liquidy and runny. It's just going to give me a bit of time just to blend some of these fields of color into each other. Last but not least, I'm going to add a bit of black, but if you're going to add black, just use the tip because black is very, very powerful. And I don't want this background to be too dark, but I do want a little bit of depth in my color. It's maybe, oh, that's quite a bit. So I'm going to rub my brush on a tissue here just on the side, just to remove what is too much there. So it can be nice maybe to do some of these corners so that it's not too bright on these corners. Maybe here on the side, going into the center. Right, okay, I'm going to put that brush down. I'm going to switch to one of my mop brushes as I mist this canvas with some water again. And This brush is completely dry, and I love mop brushes because it gives me, the ability to lightly dance over the canvas. I'm just barely touching the paint, and I'm just allowing it to blend, and I'm just working some of these very heavy lines away. Now, you don't have to do this. I mean, you can play on your canvas the way that you see fit and the way that you feel inspired. And I want you to use the tools that you've got. So don't feel, oh my word, I don't have a mop brush. You can use any brush really to do what I'm doing. If you sort of follow along, just make sure that your canvas is not dry, and you have to work quite fast, and then just dance around the canvas very lightly, just blending some of these zones. So I'm not looking for perfection, I'm just looking to play. Right. I feel that is beautiful. I'm going to dump that brush in the water to rinse it. And now I'm going to ask you guys just to keep your ears closed, because I'm going to use my hair dryer for a second, and I'm just going to quickly blast this with some air to dry the surface. Thank you guys for your patience. I'm so sorry if that was loud. So I'm going to give that a few more seconds. So while that is drying, what I thought I want to do for you guys, let me turn the camera and hopefully you can see me, is I've got my unicorn deck here. It is the unicorn deck from Diana Cooper, and I thought today I would like to share with you guys maybe a bit of a reading or a bit of a draw for 2024 from the perspective of the unicorns. Now, I consider myself a unicorn of some sorts. I love the symbology of unicorns. For me, it is a very uplifting symbol, and it's really part of my life and journey. Now, if you've watched some of my videos, then you might know that I normally have an enormous unicorn behind me in the studio, and the reason why you don't see it lately is because it's covered in canvas as I'm working on a commission for a friend in the States, and I had to use the unicorn frame because it's exactly the same size painting that I'm creating for her. So as soon as I'm done, and I'm almost done, I'll be able to send her her painting, and I will be able to return my unicorn to the studio. So I'm asking the cards to please reveal to us a general reading for 2024 from the perspective of the unicorns that can uplift us, encourage us, and take us on this positively infused Dreamcatcher 2024. So I've shuffled the cards I'm going to divide the deck, and I'm going to basically look at the top 3 cards, and I'm just going to look at the first one now while this background is drying. It's almost ready. Right, so the first card for 2024 is, drum roll, surprise. That's nice. Okay, so look for the unexpected today. So this is definitely an energy of 2024. I feel already on this lovely card. Let me stand here and see what I can show you guys. There is a peacock, there is a deer in the background, and the unicorn is approaching through a beautiful pond or lake, and there's a fish jumping out of the water over here, and I think that is the unexpected. Well, everything in this image is actually quite unexpected, right? So let us read this number 31 and see what the creator of these cards intended. Surprises keeps life fresh and interesting. Choosing this card suggests that the unicorns are co-orchestrating something unexpected for you today. So enjoy it. The affirmation for this is, I look for a surprise today. And I think that's what we can ask or sort of speak over 2024. We say thank you for beautiful, lovely, uplifting surprises in 2024. I think that's really lovely. I'm going to keep these cards out so that afterwards I'll share it as a post on the community here on YouTube as well as on my Patreon. So that is really stunning. So the first or the next thing rather that I'm going to do is I'm going to just swing you back to the canvas here, and I'm going to use my ordinary blackboard chalk. You can also use a chalk pencil, and I'm just going to basically outline my Dreamcatcher circle. And I like to sort of just use this halfway circle like I did last year. Let me just remind you guys. So not using the entire Dreamcatcher, but it's totally up to you. The composition is up to you. This is just what I'm going to be doing. And then I'm going to give myself 5 lines. Oh, that part of it is gone hard. And I'm going to just draw in my feathers. Now again, this is just symbolic. It doesn't have to be realistic feathers. And I'm also looking at the composition and making sure this is visually pleasing for myself. Another reason why I like to work with a chalk is it gives me the opportunity, you know, just to play with my composition until I am happy, you know, with what I'm creating on my canvas, and maybe just create some random points that we can connect with on the canvas. That would be interesting, and sort of speak about that web of life, weaving of the cord in the Dreamcatcher. All right. So the advantage is if you've drawn something that you don't like, you can always just use a bit of a wet brush to dip it in water, take off the excess, and then you can always change something in your design that you don't like. But I'm quite happy with that setup. So the next thing would be then to come in with a color that we are going to be using, and I'm thinking I'm going to use a dark turquoise. So I'm going to just make my life easier, but you can just dilute some of your paint with a bit of water and use your brush, and then you can come in and draw in your Dreamcatcher. Now I would suggest, if you're going to use a brush, that you just draw or paint in your outline next to the chalk line. And again, this circle doesn't have to be absolute perfection, because it is usually made of willow reeds. So they're not straight necessarily, and it's interwoven. And if you feel you need to change something, then go ahead and do that. I quite like that. That is playful. I think we can go ahead and connect some of these lines as well. I like to sort of add one more line there. So I'm curious, have you guys painted Dreamcatchers before, or is this your first time that you are doing this? Okay. So drop me a comment and tell me if you've painted Dreamcatchers before. I'm curious to learn from you guys. It's always fun. So acrylic markers make life a lot easier because it's still acrylic paint, but because it's a marker, it feels familiar to your hand, and you can sort of use it like a Koki or a pen. I'm just sort of giving you a directional feeling here with the feathers. I'm going to really keep this simple in this demonstration today. I don't want to keep you guys for hours and hours and hours. All right. So now we need to let that dry. So if you're using paint, then you also need to just give it a second to completely dry, because when we come back, we're going to just wipe the chalk line off of our canvas, and we are going to start with that clean sheet. So I'm just quickly again asking you to mute your phone, because I'm going to put on the hairdryer. Thank you guys, I'm back. So next thing on our little agenda here, if I can find it under all of my stuff here in the studio that I had to move around in order to make this live possible, is I'm just going to grab a baby wipe. I just like using baby wipes because they're not too wet, but they are efficient. And I'm just going to very gently go over the canvas with this baby wipe, just to capture the chalk lines and lift it up without disturbing what is underneath. And that is why I always say, before you paint another layer or before you use any anything wet like this on your canvas, make sure that you've actually dried your canvas so that you don't disturb any of the layers underneath. Right. So now we're going to go in and we're going to start playing with our canvas. And for this, I'm going to be using my violet, and I'm also going to add just a drop of carmine red, and that would make it then a red violet. Now my palette is rather busy, so I'm just going to put all of these yellows aside, and I'm going to just dispense a little bit of paint on a fresh palette. So that we can paint. How are you guys doing? I hope you are enjoying this, and I'm also just going to take a sip of water. Right, I'm curious to learn what colors you are going to be painting with. So do share with me. It's always fun to check in with my community and to see what you guys are doing, and to support you in any way, shape, or form that I possibly can. As I am dispensing my color. So I'm going to be using some aqua green. Aqua green is one of my absolute favorite colors. And I've also got here a phthalo blue and a phthalo green, or a viridian green, that makes a beautiful translucent turquoise that I can also make darker because the pigment is a bit more concentrated. Especially your phthalo color ranges is very intense. So I'm just mixing color here on the background. And I'm excited to get into the painting. I'm almost ready. Drop me a comment and tell me where you guys are watching from. That's always fun to learn. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of my black from my previous palette. Black is a color that you will use to make your colors that you're working with darker. So you can also add a bit of gray to mix a tone, or you need some white in order to mix something lighter. So I'm going to add some white in the middle here, and I will show you guys now. Alrighty then, which brush am I going to use? Where's my angle brush? I like to work with angle brushes because I've got a multitude of angles that I can work with. So here's my angle brush, and here is my color. So I've got violet, I've got that red, phthalo blue, I've got viridian green, I've got aqua green, I've got black and white. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm thinking to maybe mix a nice dark teal color, and I'm just going to basically paint in my feather shape here, and I'm just using my angle brush here just to help imply the directionality of the feather filaments. And it's okay if some of them sort of flick out like that. And the joy of acrylic painting is really in the layers. So there will be more than one layer necessary in order to really make it stand out. I'm gonna use the next one. I'm gonna add a little bit more green than blue in this one. Still using quite a dark mixture because it's easier with acrylic paint to go lighter. So if you have a nice dark foundation, then it's easier just to create some highlights on top of that, saving you some time. And as we get into this Dreamcatcher energy. Now the next one, I think I'm going to switch over to my aqua green here, and it's a bit thick, so I'm going to add a dash of water to my brush. I haven't rinsed my brush because I'm working with the same color family. There we go. We have a nice turquoise feather here in the middle. Alrighty, let's add a bit of white, a bit more blue. I'm mixing color here on my palette, so it's a bit of a bluish shade. Variety is the spice of life, and it's definitely one of the principles of design. So we still want our Dreamcatcher to be interesting, even though we are playing with only 3 basic sort of colors. Let's create something dark. I'm going to mix the blue with my black down here. I need a bit of water. Let's add a bit more. And I think we can add a dash of violet to this as well. A bit more blue. Right, so we've got I know that's still too very dark. Still too very dark, listen to me. Let's add a little bit of white just to bring the color forward. And a bit more violet. Okay, that looks a little bit more interesting. But I'm not too worried because I know I'm going to be adding highlights over this as we go forward. Once you get into it, then you've got different zones that you can work on. Like this first feather is already much drier already, and that will help to save you time then to work on different aspects of the painting as you go. Now I'm going to use this red and violet. I'm just going to wipe off my brush. I'm not going to rinse it even because I think that can add an interesting color. So I'm going to mix the violet and this carmine red, and that's going to give us a red violet color. And I'm going to use that on my Dreamcatcher wheel. And again, I'm just filling in or blocking in a very basic shape. Now don't be scared. If you go outside the line, you can always come back with a yellow later and just tidy things up. Need a bit of water. If you feel that your paint is sticky and it's just not flowing nicely or it's too translucent and you've used too much water. And I'm painting vertically here against the easel, so a heavy body paint is nice because it won't run on you. But if you wanted to play with a bit of technique and you wanted to do a bit of drips in the background, I've got a number of videos on my channel where I showcase a number of techniques like that. So you're always welcome to check it out. And I mean, you can play for days on a painting like this. You can literally play on that freedom layer as long as you want. But you know, I always say, when you procrastinate, like I can procrastinate very easily, I try to find out why I'm procrastinating, because that can also reveal a lot about, you know, actually what you're stressing about that's preventing you from taking action. Now, being a dyslexic person, I know that a lot of my procrastination can be just because of my dyslexia, especially if it's a task like paperwork or administration or filling in forms. Can you relate maybe? Then I tend to, you know, go into procrastination mode and, you know, stress a little bit until I really don't have a choice anymore. Then I have to get into it. So I'm just playfully adding to this. Like I said, it's not serious. These lines are quite thick. I didn't plan on that. It's because my paint is a little bit thick. So I need to add a bit more water. But, you know, I will show you guys how you can fix this. I mean, those lines were absolutely perfect. I didn't really need to paint over them. But, you know, here we are. I like to show to people that art versus expectation, and that everything is a process. Just like with art, your life and your goals are also a process, and sometimes the unexpected happen, like our unicorn card said to us, you know, surprises can show up. And then it really is all about your resilience. Are you able to be flexible and adjustable and make a plan? Or are you resistant and, what's the word I'm looking for? Is your mindset so set in stone that you are unable to think of another way to approach, you know, the situation, to solve the problem? And that sort of rigidity, that's the word I'm looking for, can be very frustrating, because that can prevent you from moving forward, and it can prevent you from attaining your goals and for moving forward. So, I mean, like with this live today, I literally restarted this painting process or this recording process 4 times today before it worked out for me. Speaking of which, just checking in, yes, we are still live. We are entering into the first hour of this live. Okay, so now we've basically plotted in or blocked in our painting, and we are able to now process and go forward and work a little bit more details into this painting. So like I said, I'm going to keep this very fresh and very light. And I'm going to now use my white. This is titanium white. And I'm just going to mix myself some lighter shades that I can use to just, let's first start with a little bit of a highlight, and I'm just going to try and dance over this central point. And I'm going to add a dab of my light yellow, and I'm going to create a different, you know, sort of color by mixing it with my turquoise and my white. And I just want to bring in some lighter zones over that dark. That talks a bit about my feather. So it's going to be very rough. I'm going to use my Viridian green. Let's add a bit of blue to it. What would happen if I added a bit of violet to it? Ooh, Viridian green and violet goes really beautifully together. That's an interesting shade. So I'm just going to add some of that. Now this bright turquoise feather, let's mix a bit of a darker shade because it's so bright. I'm just misting my palette with some water, just keeping my paints damp here. And I haven't rinsed my brush yet because I'm playing with a variety of shades here on my feathers. Need a bit of water because it feels a bit dry. There we go. Let's add some of that to these feathers as well. Ooh, that's quite moody. Okay, so I'm going to jump into my violet here. Now the reason why this color scheme works is because there are some color laws here, because now I haven't rinsed my brush, there was blue on my brush, but by bringing in this red, I continue to mix more purple because red and blue together makes purple. So that's a fun color. So let's do this on the darker side. Nice, I like that. Let's use some of that color over here. Let's add a bit of white and mix a nice lavender. Ooh. Yeah, this feather was a bit dark on that side, so let's bring some of that color through. Nice. And you can see how the yellow background is making these feathers glow. I'm gonna bring this lavender color over to my turquoise and just again mix another interesting shade. I think that will look nice on there as well. Awesomeness. Let's add some there. No, that looks a bit dull, so I'm going to wipe off. Let's use this cat red, not cat red, what is this called? Carmen red. I keep forgetting that name. My brain keeps wanting to call it cadmium red, but cat red is very orange. Let's just bring in a little bit of life into this feather by bringing a little bit of red in there. Not everywhere, but I do want to just speak about it a little bit in the feathers, giving it a little bit of structure and variety. Variety is the spice of life. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of white into creating it a little bit of a pink. A bit more white. That's maybe a bit light for that side. Alrighty. I'm going to rinse my brush really well. That's really pretty. I quite like that play. Let me use a little bit of white and a little bit of my aqua green again. That's a bit lighter still. White is definitely one of the colors that you will use the most. And if you get to a place in your painting where you feel you don't know what to do next, then maybe just move on from that part that you're working on. I mean, I definitely do believe that the feathers will be the area that you will spend most of your time on. So I'm going to dive into this aqua green, and I'm just going to talk about the rope or the string that is wound around these ropes. And I'm just going to talk about it in a pattern like this, going around. And my brush is making this interesting mark. It's not me. I'm just putting it down. And I'm just following this circle all the way around. Love that texture that is given to the, what do you call that thingamajig? The circle reed, for lack of another term. The actual Dreamcatcher, I suppose. Okay, I'm going to switch to another brush. I'm going to use a round brush now just for a little bit more detail. I do want to just bring in this crystal here in the middle, whatever stone that is. I'm just going to give myself a first layer, talking a bit about these crystals, and maybe that can be garnets or amethyst, whatever crystal you prefer. I'm gonna just give it a bit of a shape there, and let's bring some of that, oops, that's too much, onto this little bead that we've got here that is empowering each of these strings. That looks nice. I think I must add a little bit of highlight to this side of the feathers as well. I'm going to also bring in this reddish color in between these turquoise lines that I created going around. So it just adds another layer of visual interest. Like I said, acrylic painting is all about the layers. And if ever you paint something that you don't like, or you do something that you don't like, just allow it to dry, and then you can always paint over it. You can change it, you can lighten it, you can darken it, whatever you feel it requires. I think a lot of newcomers to acrylic painting wants it to work like they imagine oil would work, so that they have a lot of blending time, but that's not the case. Obviously there are some retarders and things you can use if you really want it to work like oil paint. Um, I say you must sort of learn to love your medium that you're using for what it is, and don't compare it to, you know, other mediums, because each medium has its sort of advantages and benefits and blessings. And if you use each medium for what it is, then that can only be joyful. So I'm just going to go back into some of these feathers and just bring in some areas together that needs a bit of TLC. And because this viridian green is so translucent, it allows me to just glaze over some of these areas. And I'm just loosely adding some joy to my feathers. I quite like where we are headed with our painting. I just want to add a bit more violet. Oh, that's quite thick. Not that that's a problem, it could be very impasto, but I think I quite like that where we are now. I love on camera how the background is making my Dreamcatcher glow. That's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to allow that to dry a little bit before I add some highlights and lowlights. And I'm just wiping my fingers here off camera because I would like to look at our second card for 2024, but I don't want it all covered in paint. I mean, look at my hands. This is the joy of painting, right? Especially on camera. Right. So, my next card for 2024, drum roll, is Archangel Michael. Let me just see what you see. Archangel Michael used the sword of truth to help the world. And we have Archangel Michael here with the shield of faith and the sword of truth. And it's just standing firm. And I think this is just asking all of us to just use our own truth and apply it first and foremost to your own life. I'm a firm believer, if you sort of clean your own backyard, then, if everyone does that, then the world will be clean, right? So don't be so concerned about your neighbor and what the state of their yard and what kinds of problems are lying on their stoop or their veranda or in their backyard. I really think, it's that wisdom of first sort of look at the tree trunk in your own eye before you try to remove the splinter from your brother's eye. I think that's the principle of this truth to help the world. And that is a number 37. So let's see what the cards are saying. Archangel Michael, choosing this card guides you to carry Archangel Michael's sword of truth to help someone weaker than yourself. Your unicorn is beaming integrity, courage, and decisiveness to you. The affirmation is, I stand in my power and help others with integrity. I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's sort of my sort of standpoint as a coach, where I'm coming from, is to help others, empower them, and to do that with integrity and with respect and empathy, knowing and with discernment when to intervene and when not to. I think there's a lot of wisdom and truth in that as well. So that is our second card for the year that I've drawn, and I think that is definitely beautiful wisdom indeed. So I'm quickly going to give this a blast of air with my hair dryer. So do adjust your earpieces so that you don't get deafened by the hairdryer. Alrighty then, this is getting exciting. So I'm just going to go over here and grab my Posca pen. I really like using my Posca pens. I've got a white Posca here. They're really excellent. I also love using my Jelly Roll pens. I will show guys now. So I think it needs a bit of highlight. So maybe let's look at our orientation, because clearly it's lightest from behind, so it will be lightened from behind. I like that idea that the light is coming through my Dreamcatcher, so there'll pretty much be a halo of light all around my feathers. So I'm just going over my feathers, and it might also illuminate my string from behind. And now I get another opportunity to just make those strings a little bit thinner as the light captures it from behind. Just getting the flow going in my pen as I'm working on a difficult angle here. It's time for a new Posca pen as well. So if you're doing a solid line around some of your subjects, it helps to just not make it a solid line. I think it looks a little bit more interesting if you skip a bit, especially from afar. Just want you guys to see the details a little bit that I'm doing here. So you can see how I'm giving these strings also a little bit of a glow, and I'm able to make them a little bit smaller so that they're not so thick. But it could be leather. They, traditionally they used leather as well. Thin strips of leather to make the Dreamcatcher. This is really very loose and playful. There's no time for immense details on a live. Really want you guys just to have a bit of a gist here of what I'm on about. And how fun and simple and easy this can be. I mean, it doesn't have to be a very involved technical process. This is art therapy at its best. It's for you, by you. And this becomes a very powerful amulet if you can put it up in your office or in a space where you can see it often. I like to hang it in my studio and then just glimpsing at it every now and again. You see it in the corner of your eye or as you enter the room. It reminds you of your goals and intentions that you have set for the year. I'm going to jump over to my black marker, and I think black also gives us a little bit of contrast that can be beautiful, especially like maybe for the center of each of these feathers, because that would be the part that is encased in a little bit of shadow. And I'm just using my acrylic marker here. That's also acrylic paint. And really, it's just easier on the hand. So it's fun to play with different tools that gives you the results you're looking for. And I'm just enhancing some of that ropey texture that would be wound around the what is that called? Willow reed. Maybe just a little bit more gestural lines. And really the mind completes the whole picture. You don't have to draw every detail in there. I quite love where we are, what we created. I'm just going to pull it a little bit forward for you guys so you can get a very nice view of this Dreamcatcher. And last but not least, let me just grab my white really jelly roll pen. This is from Shakira, and this is a size 10 that I've got here. Love my jelly roll pens. And I can just maybe quickly turn this back. It's easier to do this when you are, sort of on the table. But I just wanted to showcase. Let's say, for example, this middle one is for my soul or spirit. So I will write here soul and spirit. And I wanted to add meditate and what else was here on my goals? Oh, I wanted to add the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. These are all the things that's going to help me grow my spiritual feather. So I might just add some words to remind myself of what each feather represents and my sort of, in essence, what my intention is with each of these feathers. And then you can just use your pen if you want to just continue to add a little bit of detail to each of your stones or whatever else you want to add to it. And last but not least, remember to sign your painting. It's yours. You created it. You're the artist of your life. So before we go, let's look at that last card for 2024. Ooh. And the last card for 2024 is mystery. Let me show you guys mystery. And what I like about it is there's like these caves and there's something hidden in there. There's a beautiful full moon. Forgive all the noises here. There's a truck next door. Explore the unknown. The unexpected awaits you. That is really powerful because as a coach, I like to always remind people that the treasure you seek lies in the cave that you fear to enter. there is a mystery in itself. So within ourselves, we have our subconscious mind, we have all of these layers within ourselves that is almost hidden from us, from our awareness. And sometimes it just comes forward out of the depths, out of the unknown part of us. And we sometimes wonder, where did that come from? What was that all about? And we don't even know that those are triggers and things that we have in our shadow self that we might not have worked with before. And when we start to, it can become extremely empowering in your life. And then again, it can be the things that helps to empower you to attain your goals in this year, so that you don't falter so much with self sabotage. So that's definitely something to look into and explore that a little bit deeper with yourself. So let's see what the author intended with this card. And the number is 21. If I can page, all right, mystery. We live in a world full of wonder and mystery, for much is hidden from our understanding. The unicorns are asking you to look under the surface, and you will be pleasantly surprised at what you find. An affirmation you can use is, I am looking for the unexpected. That is really beautiful. I'll take a photograph of these cards and share it with you on our community. So there we have it. We have a dream catcher, and I will play with this a little bit more and refine it and make it pretty, and I will share it with you guys on the group as well. But in essence, you got the gist of it. You saw the process that I use, and I kept it very simple, very beginner friendly. I think anyone can sort of attempt this and reach that goal of using a canvas as the portal through which you can manifest your dreams, your desires, and even become aware of them. Sometimes we don't even know what we want, right? I think that is a very fair answer. I've worked with many people that I ask, what do you want? I was one of them. And I didn't know. I don't know what I want until I do, you know. And sometimes I guide people by saying, okay, so what is it that you don't want? That's easier. We know what we don't want. And write that down and become clear about that. And when you know what you don't want, maybe you can jump to the opposite and see what it can look like from that perspective. So hopefully that's a bit of a helpful tip that I can share with you guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to do with your dream catcher. Do paint one, take a photograph, share it with me on the Creative Heart group on Facebook. I will be adding links to the description of this video. If you liked this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment, all of those things, because I've got so much to share with you through this year. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're going to tune in later, then thank you. Tell me where you're watching from, and I will see you guys again next week for another episode of the Creative Heart. I think today's episode is busy airing right now, so when I finish this live, do look at my channel and look at week number 2 of Creative Art Prompts for 2024. I'll see you guys on the creative table, and I'll chat to you again real soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now. Love you.